Exactly why was the sororities called to the house the morning of the murders before the cops were called? Let's delve into that with this video. Now I'm going to shut my camera off and then come back towards the end so everyone can hear the video without me talking through it. Enjoy.
With recent rumors and speculation that several sorority sisters were summoned to the crime scene well before police were contacted, many are wondering how and why it seems that several individuals failed to call 911 to report the gruesome murders of Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan for 8 whole hours. What could have possibly been more important than calling for help? Was something in that house that could get one or potentially more in a lot of trouble? Join me for an exploration of why a sorority appears to have taken priority that fatal morning. Greek life and its role in decision making in college life. Has something gone terribly wrong?
I mean, if this murder occurred at 4 in the morning, they don't report it, or someone doesn't report it till noon, what's that all about? They run the house. This type of killing is going to be loud, both by the suspect and the victims. It's going to take a period of time. It's obviously going to be very bloody. And I just don't really understand that, but they are really the key.
The 911 call didn't come until midday the next day. Does that raise any red flags for you? How do you explain that?
I think the investigators are trying to ascertain why there was a delay and what actually occurred, what was heard. That's a question that's still out there.
Do you have any theories of your own? I don't know. The way everything got brought out was really weird, in my opinion. As far as how the 911 call was made like 8 hours later, I just think the timeline is very strange.
The scene wasn't chaos, the neighborhood, but it was very, very somber. Like I said, that is a community of college students that live over there. Many of them, through word of mouth, knew what had happened. They were standing outside. There was a lot of crying. There were friends trying to find out who exactly was inside the house. Some family members that arrived on scene. It was incredibly hard for the community, but it was also really, really hard on our officers. Some of them were very young, and that was the first real major crime scene that they had encountered. So emotionally, it was a very, very draining day.
ISP won't say who called 911 and would not confirm who found the bodies. ISP says protecting what the young women are telling police could be the key to the entire investigation, and they're hoping the roommates can fill in the timeline between when the murders happened and when someone called 911.
Now, to be clear, I'm not putting a specific organization or Greek life as an entity on trial. A lot of Americans have good experiences in Greek life and leave with experiences, friendships, and social skills, which are all positives. But it's also true that these organizations have a bit of an unsavory reputation, commonly known for reckless behavior, hazing, and alcohol and substance abuse issues. In fact, both Kaylee's sorority, Alpha Phi, as well as Maddie and Xana's sorority, Pi Beta Phi, are both on probation for, quote, violations or concerns regarding risk management, alcohol and drugs, or hazing, end quote. And unfortunately, it's not uncommon for these activities to end tragically, as time and time again, young lives are lost senselessly, causing these organizations to come under fire.
Birch was rushed to the hospital Thursday after what the university is calling a catastrophic medical emergency.
I don't think anyone realized how intoxicated actually was.
He was pledging in a fraternity, blindfolded, taken into a room. He was given a bottle of whiskey. We don't know what happened in that room. They're not telling us.
Anything you're trying to protect, brothers, trust me, they don't deserve it.
The number one rule is, you must protect the house.
Hazing doesn't get reported. Everybody is more concerned about saving their own than they are about taking care of the person who could be saved.
They could take a photo, but they couldn't call 911.
Somebody should have done something, could have done something. Anything that could go wrong that night did. And then at the end of the day, nobody got him any help.
Like I said, we wouldn't be sitting here right now having this conversation if one person had made a call. One. We'd have our son.
I think the fact, as far as his story and what's saving lives, is recognizing when somebody is in trouble to actually step in and to do something. Don't be the wallflower. Don't be the one that somebody's telling you not to do it. Step up, do the right thing, and make the right decisions. If you see somebody who's elderly being impaired, call. We're going to come on those calls and address that health concern before it becomes tragedy. A friend in trouble compared to losing a friend, a mother, or whatever. And you're talking about a fraternity and maybe getting a slap on the wrist. I look at it the opposite way. You do the right thing and you call. That's a positive for your fraternity. You might get scolded, you might get suspended for a little bit, but you did the right thing. You were a true brother.
Death of Penn State student Timothy Piazza.
We have new evidence.
Surveillance video that authorities say was once destroyed, now recovered by the FBI.
This is the video that they clearly did not want to see.
Guess what, guys? Now we know.
We don't have
Prosecutors
none.
say the footage from the basement of the Beta Theta Pi house shows fraternity brothers giving the 19-year-old pledge at least 18 drinks of beer, wine, and vodka, all in just an hour and 22 minutes.
I am glad that the basement video was recovered and we finally know what went on down there, because that was the whole defense argument. We don't know.
New charges against a dozen former fraternity brothers, bringing the total to 26. On the night of February 2nd, prosecutors say Piazza and other Beta Theta Pi pledges participated in a drinking challenge called the Gauntlet.
They bring the pledges and make them drink copious amounts of alcohol really quickly.
Build something. Create something. I'm here to recommend today that you do it on Circle because I think it's the easy.
Piazza eventually suffered a catastrophic fall 15 feet down a flight of stairs. A grand jury report says no one immediately called 911. Instead,
have mommy get it for you.
Surveillance
And I found a chocolate chip flavor.
Yeah.
Captured hours
I didn't
of
know that.
Piazza
I didn't know I needed mommy to
college
chocolate chip
sophomore trying to get up and
I didn't know that.
Fucking recording.
dragging his limp body upstairs, trying to rouse him by slapping his face and pouring water over him. Instead of dialing 911, the report says the brothers were using their phones to search for the phrases falling asleep after head injury, and a few minutes later, binge drinking, alcohol, bruising or discoloration, cold feet and cold hand. 12 hours after Piazza's fall, the first call for help.
What's going on today?
We have a friend who's unconscious. He hasn't moved. He's still extremely
Tragically, a lot of these fatalities could have been avoided if anyone called 911. But kids all over college campuses are binge drinking and acting rowdy. So it leads one to ask, what is it about Greek life, fraternities, and sororities that seem to produce almost a lethal threat to young college kids? Is it possibly a combination of peer pressure,
I'm recording. Go away.
and social intimidation that all contribute to a culture of
I'll make them when I'm done.
confused priorities among young
Go away.
adults on
I
college
didn't
kids?
know I had those guys.
You're doing this because we're supposed to be together, and it's lifelong, and it's all this stuff. Well, the bond starts right there. You see somebody in trouble, help that somebody. There's amnesty laws in just about every state.
Cornell Davis, a fraternity brother who was at the event that night, says he tried to get Piazza the help he needed.
I was screaming and yelling. I was saying we need to take him to the hospital. We should call an ambulance, dial 911.
It's nice that he had good intentions at the time, but I don't know why anybody didn't pick up a phone.
The bystander effect occurs when the presence of others discourages an individual from intervening in an emergency situation against a bully or during an assault or other crime. The greater the number of bystanders, the less likely it is for any of them to provide help to a person in distress. People are more likely to take action in a crisis when there are few or no other witnesses present. Hive mentality, also known as groupthink, is when a person has a strong tendency to fall for group decision-making. If someone has a hive mentality, they feel invulnerable and morally correct when they're part of a certain group. They may also not be able to make decisions on their own. They often feel isolated or stressed when making decisions. That's why they turn to a hive mentality.
I remember one night we had to clean out like a bunch of different rooms, and like that was kind of like the hazing thing. And this kid was like, I don't want to do this. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is like so tedious. And he left that night. My mentality is different than other kids. Like, I like doing that hardcore shit. I like building a team. I like building around other people, but not everybody does. So like they joined the fraternity, and like that kid walked out that night, but like he wasn't really liked anymore. And like that's something that probably should change.
So what does this have to do with a quadruple homicide case, you may be asking? When we consider that all 4 of our victims were involved in Greek life, the 2 survivors were involved in Greek life, and the house itself was situated proudly on Greek Row, it's worth asking the question if this same pattern of irresponsibility could be a likely explanation for that 8-hour time gap. Really, the only logical explanation that I can think of for that time gap, when we know that others were phoned before police, in my opinion, is I think that it's drug related. I think something had to be removed from the house. And considering that both sororities were on probation, so it is possible that the witnesses may have called friends and sisters, sorority sisters, get rid of some sort of paraphernalia or something like that. That's really the only logical explanation I can think of. That time could have also been used to clean up the scene, maybe not in a nefarious way, but who knows. Again, I'm not here to bash college students, Greek life, or the younger generation, but there is a pattern of apathy, recklessness, and selfishness that I can't really let go here. When you think about the fact that all 4 victims laid cold and stiff in a pool of their own blood for 8 hours, while the campus played telephone and the crime scene may have been irreparably compromised. I know I'm not alone here, and that a lot of people are bothered by this.
I'm sorry, that was my wife talking in the background.
It makes no sense and really goes against everything we know
About
as humans
the 3
and
kids.
our basic principles of integrity and common sense. Are we so desperate to belong that we can become detached from these basic human values? And that's the question that I'm posing about what happened in those 8 hours.
Best no Wi-Fi games for long car rides. Part 3. Okay, the game I want to tell you about.
It really makes you wonder if Dylan and Bethany didn't have a hive mindset. That's why they didn't call 911 until 8 hours later. Or were they trying to get rid of something that was in the house that they didn't want the cops finding? We'll never know, because, and like it said in the video, they try to sororities try to protect themselves instead of trying to save somebody. Bethany and Dylan could have possibly saved the 4 Idaho students. As soon as they heard something going on in the house, they could have called 911, and perhaps either one of the Idaho students or all 4 of them would still be with us today. We'll never know what they were actually thinking. Like always, please like, share, and comment on my channel, and keep the comments respectful. And I'm going to try to drop a new video later on tonight. Everyone stay safe, and peace out.
Reps in, life is walking through the mud, I'm battle tested. Can't complain, I can't debate on who